Alright, so a couple weeks ago we watched a video about Drue Crisman breaking down how much he got paid weekly in the UFL. And of course, that number was $4,537.84. This is after taxes and fees and all that other stuff. So that's how much he got paid per week. Now, of course, that is not every single week of the year because, as you guys told me down below, the UFL doesn't go every single week of the year. So there are a lot of weeks of the year he simply is not getting paid. Okay? He's getting paid a lot less than the 190, 200,000, which is the first comment here. And that's it if you times it by 52 weeks. But that's simply not the case. You know, he only gets paid for the weeks that he's actually playing. So with that being said, let's talk about the NFL, which is a little bit different. So let's go ahead and listen up to what he has to say.
As promised, let's check out how much money you make per game in the NFL. So you've seen a UFL game check.
Okay, so obviously he's talking about his game check per game because he just said how much you make per game in the NFL. And that right there, that statement is the most broadest statement you could ever make in the history of, like, ever. Like, to say how much you make per game, that is a very broad statement. Because that, every single player in the NFL, for the most part, that number is different. Between, you know, per game bonuses, number of snaps, all that kind of stuff, incentives in your contract. So, just a little side note there.
Then you saw an NFL practice squad check. But how do those compare to an NFL game check? Let's look at the numbers.
Okay, stop putting on that Ratbirds jersey. Stop putting on the Ratbirds jersey, please. Okay, that's all I ask, Drew. Stop putting on the Ratbirds. You were never on the Ratbirds. You were on the Steelers, you were on the, I believe, the Chiefs, and you were on the Bengals. So stop putting on the Ratbirds. You were never on that team. I don't know why you keep wearing one.
So it's my first ever game check. I get paid from the 14th to the 20th in 2022. I made $39,166.67.
Not a bad week in the office for just kicking a ball, but you know who's coming.
First up, we got $11,599 to federal, Medicare taking $571, Indiana $1138, Ohio $553, Pennsylvania's taking $83, Totaling $13,947.
Next up, we got deductions. First on the list, 401k, a jersey I kept after the game, NFLPA, and tickets for family. Yeah, you paid for those. So after taxes and deductions, my first NFL game check totaled $19,044.06.
So what questions you guys have? Let me know.
All right, so let's now, because I know how long the, I kind of know how long the NFL season is. I'm really good at this number, guys. So 19,400. Okay, so let's say in all intents and purposes, he's getting paid that much per game, which obviously in the end, there's other things that go in there too. You might get more money. Like, this is like, I feel like the bottom, but like you could get paid more money per game for different things. So let's say on average, right, he's getting paid 17 games, okay? $323,749 per season. Now, that's not including playoffs, right? So, like, for example, the Bengals go to the playoffs, and they're successful in the playoffs, and let's say they go to the Super Bowl, which he was our Super Bowl punter. So, that's additional 80,000, around 80,000 some odd change. So, if we go to the Super Bowl, 403,749. Now, this is his game check. He doesn't talk about preseason. I'm not sure how much players make in preseason or how much they make per game in preseason, again, outside of guarantees. But still, I mean, the year we went to the Super Bowl, $403,749. That's not bad. And that's after deductions. That's after, as he said right there, that's after, you know, taxes. That's after fees. It's after his, you know, jersey that he kept, which that, by the way, isn't going to be a reoccurring charge technically. NFLPA will be, 401k will be, which again, you're deducting the 401k, but in the end, you get it back. Like, eventually, down the line, way down the line, unless you take it out early and then you get fees, whatever. But you're eventually going to get that money back. But yeah, no, I mean, overall wise, that's not bad at all. Like, and if you're a single player in the NFL, and you're like, again, I'm going to guess Drue Crisman was getting bare minimum. He's a punter. Punter are people too, but at the same time, they don't get as much love. If you're a single person, like if you don't have a, significant other and you're not paying for your family to go to games, that number could be a lot more. And then if you get into the perspective of you're a good player, and not a good player, sorry, Drue Crisman was a good player, but you're like an actual, top 10 at your position player, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, that number is even more. Because now you're talking about roster bonuses, incentives, hitting different incentives. I mean, the sky's the limit. That's not bad. It's better than the UFL, right? Being 4,537. And again, I'm not sure how many weeks are in the UFL, but it's a pretty good number. Now, of course, it's hard to actually get on an NFL roster. It's difficult to become a NFL player, and in theory, everyone wants to be. But it's just, especially for a punter, because like you gotta think, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, whatever. Punters usually do not take much hits throughout the season. Yes, they can be the guy who ends up getting the tackle in the end. Pat McAfee is a good example in that when he lit up Trenton Holiday. But for the most part, punters aren't really involved in a lot of different things. Like, they don't really get involved with smashing players. So they kind of get away with that in a way if you think about it. Hey, kickers and punters. You're making the bread. You're making the bread. You're making the money to get the job done without having to worry about too many things. But again, you're still kicking, and you also the number one guy people blame if you miss a field goal. 1, 2, you can still tear your ACL, MCL, PCL. You can still tear any of those things. You're kicking the ball using your leg at all times. But I think, honestly, if I had to choose one position, if I joined the NFL, I'd be a punter, but I don't know. I don't think it's a bad job to have. People make fun of punters and kickers, but in reality-wise, they have the best job possible. You get paid $20,000 a game just, just to do your job, but, you don't have to worry about certain things other players have to worry about. I don't know. That's not bad. Guys, tell me down below your thoughts and opinions, and watch my NFL journey to become an NFL punter. I'm going to become an NFL punter, and then I'm going to retire. I'm going to get one game check and then retire. Peace out.